Hi everyone, welcome back to this week's market review. Hope we're doing well. Pat here. Going to be taking a look at the crypto market and discussing a reason why I believe that we could be making fresh all-time high on Bitcoin this year, connecting the dots together and taking a look at a bunch of reasons, not just why I think the bottom can be close and why I think this is a good opportunity to be a bit buyer on Bitcoin, but why I believe that bull market is still in play and this is just yet another pullback like we've seen in previous cycles. Let's get into the video. Quickly before I start, just want to remind you that this video is for informational purposes only and reflects my personal views. It is not financial advice, and always consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. So if you're from the Discord, you would have heard me discussing this sort of theory a little bit over the past couple weeks. Equally, I've been touching on the Bitcoin gold pair a little bit on my YouTube as well. And over time, just looking at different factors into Bitcoin and why I believe Bitcoin can go higher this year. I'm still not a believer that the cycle top is in until we sort of start to accept below this 60 to 70k region. And I've discussed a few things in previous YouTube videos, and you're probably going to hear me repeat a couple of things today, but overall just bringing everything together and also being more accurate with my detailing and overall, you know, I feel like I've skipped over some things in previous videos and also maybe not described them as well as I should have. So first of all, I want to discuss this theory that we can make a fresh all-time high, and I will carry on with my reasonings and why I think we're close to the bottom. But in terms of a pullback, right, I may have discussed this in a previous video, I can't exactly remember, but using the trend based fib time tool, we can essentially plot the next cycle's period where we get a good run up, and equally the period where Bitcoin will top, right? And essentially what we do, we mark the tool from the prior bear market low to that bull market high to then the bear market low, right? And what you'll find often is that it maps out the next cycle's period where like I said, the market pushes up, and equally where Bitcoin tops out. We can see this marks an area between 1 to 1382 where Bitcoin tops out, right? And if we do that for every cycle, it ends up marking, right, this period where Bitcoin will top out, right? So we can see here Bitcoin is going to cycle top between the 1st of October 2025 and the 1st of November 2026. So now with that in mind, we can also look at the period where Bitcoin enters this 1 to 1.382. In all previous three cycles, we can see back in 2013, 53% pullback before price went on to rally to fresh all-time high. Equally here into the 1 to 1.382, August 2017, 40% pullback, went on to make fresh all-time high before later topping. Again, in April 2021, we saw that big 55, almost 60% market correction from Bitcoin. Again, later on, pushing on to make a fresh all-time high before cycle topping. And again, we can see exact same thing moving into the 1 to the 1.382, Bitcoin marking a local top before dropping 52%. Now, of course, this could obviously the cycle top, it could easily be the cycle top, but I believe that this is just yet another market pullback, just as we've done in previous cycles, just like we've done time and time again. 40% pullback, right? 30% pullback, 25% pullback, this one being that larger period, that larger pullback. And I believe that if other things are on our side, which I'll discuss shortly, I believe that a fresh all-time high can be made this year on Bitcoin, pushing into that 140 to 150k plus region. So what we can see here is the Bitcoin power law. This is a mathematical model, essentially plotting the price of Bitcoin as a value of time as well. And what we can see here is a fair price for Bitcoin, which is this much thicker median line, like so this middle line, and then the floor price, which is this darker green area. And you can see historically, every time Bitcoin has moved into this floor price, right, which is minus 60, around minus 58 to minus 60% from that fair price, we can see it's been a fantastic buying opportunity for Bitcoin. And time again, we have moved into this area, and it has been a great opportunity to start scaling into a Bitcoin spot, right? I believe that from here even down to the floor around 50k, which, you know, some models vary. The floor for some models extend to as low as 50k as of right now. I believe anywhere from sort of this 70 down to 50k region is going to be the floor and will be the bottom before topping. Another thing I noticed is that you can see in every cycle what we've had is a period of accumulation under fair price, right? We can see here Bitcoin, right, accumulating under fair price, right? We can see accumulation under fair price into the floor value, right? This minus 58 to, you know, 60% of that fair price, and then we eventually rally again here. Bitcoin moves in, right, has a long period of accumulation below fair price, equally into this floor value before legging up again here in our 2018 to 2019 period. Yet again, Bitcoin trades under the fair price, accumulating before going on to rally later in that cycle. Yet again, here we can see long accumulation. This time, you know, if we do it from the bear market lows, right, it's been around 1,200 days, right, and essentially, you know, this November would be 4 years from the bear market low. So it's really interesting to think about the possibility that this is just a long-term fair price accumulation, accumulation under fair price, and yet again we are seeing a great opportunity to be a buyer on Bitcoin into this area. You know, historically, all previous times Bitcoin has broken this fair price and it moves into an area of like market imbalance, right, and overextension, which eventually, you know, would always retract back below fair price and always retract back to fair value for BTC. So, you know, that's not a given, right? We are in a different market now. We are seeing much larger institutional buyers and sellers and spot buyers and funds getting involved. So the chances of a big break like this again is very unlikely, but a move back to fair price from here seems like the most logical step, right? Moving back towards that 155k region. You can even mark it on this chart as well, and you can see 52% pullback into this floor value, right? And the current fair price for BTC sitting at 146k. So now I want to talk a little bit about the DXY, and equally something I've discussed a lot in previous market updates and things like that. But DXY is potentially about to break a 20-year or almost 20-year, let's call it 18 years uptrend, right? The dollar index is back trading within this sort of $100 to $90 region. We had this big deviation back above here, and now we are potentially breaking down from this, you know, almost 20-year trend. Historically, Bitcoin has reacted well when the dollar performs poorly. We can see here when we broke down back in 2017, May 2017, here DXY traded from 99 all the way down to 89, and we can see how BTC went on to rally. Again here back in 2020, we can see how the DXY, right, went on to push between that 98 all the way down to $89 price target. BTC went on to rally, and you know, we have been performing well, right? We can see here the dollar sort of retraced, and Bitcoin eventually started to bottom, right? But it's been a while since we've really seen the effects from a weak dollar, mostly because people have been looking at metals to a safer store of value than something like Bitcoin. But I do believe that, you know, people can look at Bitcoin very soon and realize how cheap it is, right? And that brings me back to this chart, and it's going to be very hard to see price fall under 45k into the low 30s. Like from 70 down to 50 looks like a really cheap place to start buying Bitcoin, especially when you think about the fact that we were trading almost 130k just a few months ago, and you already have the opportunity to buy it into 50k. It's pretty wild. You have to think, right, if the DXY started to break down and do a similar move to what I'd done back here, are people going to look at Bitcoin as a place to put money into? Is risk assets going to be the place to be? You know, especially with gold and silver and metals recently having that big blow off, which we'll move on to now. So yeah, I discussed this chart a little bit in the past market update. I wanted to quickly come back and recorrect myself on this, because I was a little bit out of my touch that I thought that the last bar close, as in the January bar close, was going to be 14 bars, but in fact that was 13. And for 14 bar close, we would need to close the February month out, right? And like I discussed in previous cycles, the bear market between Bitcoin and gold has lasted historically on average 13 bars, right? Which we are now in that average, right? That January bar closed and that was our 13 bar. So now if the February bar closed, that's our 14th bar. And we can see bear market for Bitcoin gold back in 2013, 2015, 14 bars, 12 bars, 13 bars, and currently we are on 13 bars. With this month closing out will be 14 bars, bearish trend for the Bitcoin gold chart. And I can go on about the oscillators, but this is the most oversold and undervalued Bitcoin has been against gold in like history of that complete trading history. You know, we've got a really big weekly divergence forming. We've also got buy signals coming in on the MicroStrategy yearly VWAP, which is pretty unheard of. There's only been a few times this has played out. One of them was back into May 2022 bear market lows, and also into March 2020 bear market lows as well. You know, across the board we're seeing bear market lows signs, and it's really why I think buying BTC down here is a really good place to do so, especially if the DXY starts to fall off a cliff. And moving back to golds and discussing golds, if we do start to see golds put in this right, gold, or not just gold but metals in general, put in this right shoulder, right? We've had this big blow off from metals. If we start to put in this right shoulder, maybe we go into some sort of consolidation for a couple months. This really gives Bitcoin the breathing room to move up, right? So overall, I'm personally going to be looking at picking up Bitcoin spot, buying Bitcoin spot with a target of selling a new all-time high before November 2026. I think max drawdown really from here is around 40k. So if you can stomach that sort of drawdown, it makes sense to start scaling into spot and looking at the longer term vision for Bitcoin. And my thoughts towards altcoins remain the same, that they continue to be a really good place to day trade and scalp and extract volatility from. But in terms of buying long-term spot on altcoins, I think something big still needs to change for that. Okay, let's move on to now sort of like intraday and intra-week thoughts of BTC and looking at you know, what I want to see for maybe a leverage long position, and if we are going to move up, what sort of price action do we want to see? So right now the PA is not the best. We are stuck below this developing quarterly value area low, below the developing monthly value area low, and also below the prior weekly VWAP. In terms of moving up, it's really important that Bitcoin can flip 71,400. This is essentially the range high of 2024, where we got stuck, and it's a really low volume node area here. So essentially, if we did get back above 71,400 for BTC, you can almost guarantee the chance of moving up to sort of 81,300, which from here is the next important step, right? And from there we start to decide that, okay, if we reclaim 81,300, this is a very good sign. This will be a really positive sign, and you can almost guarantee that we're probably going to trade back to like 100k from there. A strong V-shaped reversal, you know, back above 81,300 would be very positive, but you have to do it step by step, right? First step for us, reclaim 71,400. If we can reclaim there, we look to 81,300. Personally, of course, we're going to look for shorts there, but in terms of a higher time frame flip, we're going to be looking at a move to sort of 100k. Right now, the bounce is not convincing. We're you know, yet again making this lower high structure, bounce and roll. Like it's pretty clean downtrend structure right now. So a flip of 71,400 is important to make a move towards 81,300. In terms of longing, there's two setups I have interest in right now. The first one is looking at longing back towards 66k. The 2024 VWAP for a bounce and a higher low, right? If we can form a higher low on BTC into 66, 67k, that looks really great. Something like this with a target of 81, similar to what we done back here in November, where we sort of made a higher low, and eventually we can target these highs here, right? Something sort of similar, right? Higher low into 66k, target 81. That's in terms of a long position, a leverage long. In terms of spot, I think the best case right now is that you start scaling into a spot position, you know, anywhere from here all the way down into 55k. Let's say we get a couple weeks or months of consolidation, form a bottom into here before rallying into sort of into pre-summer, into summer, before selling pre-November for a spot position, right? Much higher time frame invalidation under 44k. I see no reason why price should trade back under 40k. Again, at least except below there. You know, there could be a possibility that price wicks on some sort of news event or catalyst or war, whatever reasoning price has to wick nowadays. But we shouldn't really accept under 45k. We should continue to hold above there. In terms of alts right now, I've got my eye on power for a short. I was looking for a move into the weekly 2.5 to 3 standard deviation, but that failed. Pippin as well. I'm watching this for a short, although as I've just started to record this, it's dumped 13%. Kind of want a little bit higher around this 423 region for a Pippin short. As to short into 0.7s looks like a good place, but overall I think this power can set up for a nice blow off very soon. I'm not entirely sure why this is pumping, but it's up 50% on the day, and altcoins lately have offered some good reversals. Top gainers have been pretty weak and not sustaining for more than 1 or 2 days, but yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week's market review. Obviously, if you liked the video, please drop a like, a subscribe if you are new. Posting weekly market reviews here on YouTube. Equally, you can check the link out at the top of the description to join the Discord, where I'm streaming daily, posting all my daily trades and write-ups. Have a good week, everyone, and happy trading.